Welcome everyone to today's webinar, Your Secret Weapon in the War Against Cybercrime, presented by Data Branch in partnership with the Greater Olean Area Chamber of Commerce. Many thanks to our presenters, David Prince, Mike Wilson, Amanda Lasky, and Desiree Thompson for being with us today, and to all the participants who have joined in, and to our educational series sponsor, Chemung Canal Trust Company. Please note this webinar is being recorded to share what we learn with the business community. All attendees will receive the link to the recording. The speakers will share their presentations with you, then follow with time for questions and discussion. Please use the chat to submit any questions during the presentation. Just a reminder, when others are speaking, please keep your audio on mute to minimize background noise. With that said, I'll turn it over to David to start things off.
All right, well, thank you, Beth. I'm David Prince, President of Data Branch, and I want to again thank the Chamber of Commerce for allowing this opportunity to present and be with you here today. It's always an opportunity, and we're excited to talk about security. It's a passion for us. A little bit about Data Branch. We've been in business for over 35 years, which I saw is not a lot compared to the Chemung Canal Trust Company, but in IT years is a long time. We've been helping clients with their technology for, over many years, and obviously what we do has changed, but our fundamental mission remains the same. We've been a member of the Chemung County Chamber of Commerce for 15 years, and the Olean Chamber of Commerce for as long as we've been in existence. I'm very proud of that. We're a Datto Blue Diamond partner, which is their highest and elite level of partnership. We've been a Datto partner for over 10 years, which in Datto years is a really long time. Really very excited about that partnership and what it's been able to do for our clients across the state. And we actually have Datto clients in 10 countries now. So that's been an exciting evolution for our business. Our mission is simple. It's to help our clients succeed. The execution of that is sometimes complex, but that has always been our fundamental driving force. One more thing about Data Branch I want to mention too, we are part of Repeat Business Systems, and we now have offices across New York State from Albany to Olean, and that gives us additional resources to help our clients. And ultimately, our job is to help maximize productivity and minimize risk for our clients. And I will tell you, it really upsets us when we hear about a business being hit by a cyber attack. We take it personally, even if they're not someone we work with. And so that helps drive us every day to get out and to try to help people to prevent what can be prevented. So with that, I'd like to introduce our Vice President of Operations, Mike Wilson. Mike.
Thanks, Dave. Good morning, everyone. As Dave said, Mike Wilson, Vice President of Operations here at Data Branch. A little background about me. I've been in IT for about 25 years, and I feel like I offer a very unique perspective being on both sides of the table, from a decision maker, decision influencer, and also now from the managed service provider side. So a few of our solutions we're going to touch on today: business continuity and data protection, disaster recovery. These are specialties of Data Branches, and that's where we partner with Datto. Fantastic offering that we're excited to discuss with everyone. And then cybersecurity in general. What used to be good enough just isn't anymore. So cybersecurity is very relevant right now. The threat landscape is ever evolving, and we want to make sure that we educate and help everyone as best we can. I won't read through all of them. Lots of different solutions. I'd encourage you to reach out if you have any need in any of these areas, and we'd love to discuss with you. So with that, I'll turn it over to Amanda Lasky, our Director of Sales and Marketing.
Good morning, everyone. We are really excited to be here with you all this morning. Downtime has unfortunately become a regular occurrence for many businesses. Organizations of all sizes, including small businesses, are facing the risk of business interruptions every day, from an employee clicking on something that they shouldn't have, to hardware failure, to that dreaded cybersecurity attack we're always seeing in the news. but there are ways that we can help protect your business from this loss of valuable production time and data. So today we're going to be talking about some real world examples with the latest cybersecurity and ransomware attacks, how they originate, and most importantly, how you can protect yourselves with a true business continuity and security solution. We will be taking questions at the end, so I'd encourage everybody to submit them via the chat to us. And with that, I'd like to introduce Desiree Thomas, who's joining us from Datto, which is the leader in total data protection. As a channel development manager at Datto and a real leading voice in the field, she works with partners like us to help ensure that organizations of all sizes are able to adopt best practices and provide resources to ensure that everyone's data is protected and secure. I know that you'll enjoy what she has to share this morning, and we're really excited to be sharing her expertise with members of the Chemung and Olean chambers today. With that, I'll hand it over to Desiree.
You are awesome. Thank you so much. Let's make sure I got this.
Oh, she muted. Hey, Des, I think you're muted. Hey, Des.
They got mute, Des. Uh-oh.
Hey, Beth. Beth, can you help unmute Desiree?
Yeah, it only gives me the option to ask her to unmute.
There
Oh,
we go. I think that I unmuted myself and then we remuted by clicking it too many times. I apologize. You would think after 2 years of these Zoom meetings, we would have that down. But I also feel I'm setting your day up. Like if somebody already muted themselves, it won't happen again. Your day is set up. It's all uphill from here. Thank you so much, Amanda, for that warm welcome. I'm coming to you from good old Calgary, Alberta. You guys welcome to make fun of my Canadian accent at any point in time. You can figure out which of the words that I say the most that are say sorry. I already said sorry like 3 times. So I'm going to be really talking about Datto, cybersecurity, and business continuity, and really telling you guys what tips you can take away from today's presentation that will guarantee your business is going to be more secure. And or if when I'm talking about something, you're not really sure what that means, that's a great time to have a conversation with Datto Branch where they can sit down and look at the security of your business and really how to explain it to you to see if there's more value in making sure your business is more secure. Because let's face it, I'm in this every day and I can tell you that there's a ton of value, but until you believe it, you might not be on board. Chances are you've never heard of Datto, and it's not because we haven't been around. We have been around for quite a while. So we've been around since 2007, but we work in this really cool middle ground. It's one of my favorite places to be, where we help companies like Datto Branch with the services and support that they need to help you guys as business owners. Because let's face it, business owners, you spend 80 hours a week on your business, so you don't have to spend 40 hours a week working for someone else. That's a lot of time. You spend a lot of time hiring staff and making sure that you can support them in the product, support them to keep their businesses up and running. All of those things is a lot of effort. And so making sure that your business can be running smoothly as possible is really important. So we are worldwide businesses with locations around the world, and it's growing very, very quickly. Perfect. Let's face it. Around us every day now, there are threats everywhere. You've seen them in the news. You've seen, if you haven't heard of ransomware at this point in time, you were very, very lucky. Business cyber threats is a huge, huge industry. We used to think about it as like kids in basements, or the back in the old school days where you'd have like the bad guys in the movies and stuff on the rollerblades. It's not like that anymore. These are massive economies and massive businesses. Even understanding, I'm going to have some statistics in the end, how big this business is and how they're even attacking. We saw in the last couple of years that the bad guys started realizing that they could attack things like the US pipelines and shut that down. Did you know that if 2FA, which we're going to explain what that is in a little bit, if 2FA had been activated, that wouldn't happen. That was one simple step. But let's face it, we all don't like doing technology. I was just talking to the team about how even at my company, we just gotten forced to do 2FA, and I put it off for the longest time until I got locked out of my computer. So it was a really bad thing. These threats are happening around us, and we see these attacks happening. We saw in the last little bit, we saw that the bad guys targeted you guys' fuel, your beef, and your beer, 3 things that we all love the absolute most. And then we're seeing those attacks increasing across the globe. So Russian attackers in specifically targeting Iowa grain co-ops. That attack cost $1.5 million. And that's just the ask about how much money we took your information, we've locked you out of it, we've given you the red screen of death. And now if you want that information back, you got to pay us this money. That's not talking about the actual downtime of, oh, now we're down for a month. Think about all those gas pipelines, how long they were down. We're down for a month, we're down for 2 months. That costs to the business, as we've seen in the last couple of years, when businesses can't afford to or can't do the business that they normally do for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month. I got grounded for a year and a half. They do end up going under, which is really, really unfortunate. We are all under attack. It doesn't matter what industry you are in, what business you're in. All of us are under attack. Some of the top industries that are targeted by cyber criminals: healthcare, government, education. It was really, really sad that we saw those attacks happening into healthcare at the very beginning of COVID, where they recognized that the hospitals were already running so busy and they were so understaffed and people were just so stressed, and they started attacking them. It's not a matter of necessarily morals or who you are. Like, you might think, okay, I'm just a mom and dad pop shop. They're not going to care who I am. It's not about you. It's about, is your information valuable enough to you that you would pay to get it back? Because if it's valuable enough to you, it's valuable enough to somebody else. So why are you guys being targeted? Why is this happening? Well, money is a big part of it, for sure. There is a massive amount of money in this industry, but when it comes down to it, it's all really about that information. First of all, targets, you have a huge, as a business owner, you have a huge cachet of useful information. You host sensitive information depending where you are. Think about the healthcare industries. I was talking to some dentists the other day and realized that it's something along the lines of 60% of dentists don't actually purchase cyber insurance. That's a huge amount of information that the bad guys see that and they recognize it, and now they realize they can take it from you, because let's face it, you're going to pay to get your business back up and running. The small to medium-sized business industry really often lacks a strong cybersecurity defenses. So whether that be the separation of, it's not going to happen to me. I get that. It's not going to happen to me. I'm not going to have a heart attack if I eat cheeseburgers every day. So I still eat cheeseburgers every day. Not really, but you get the point. But it's realizing that it's not a matter of if it's going to happen to you. It's about when. It's not a matter of, can I have to pay this bill or this bill? You have to realize that paying for cybersecurity and having your plan in place for that business continuity plan when that disaster happens is actually paramount and will keep your business up and running. Your data is hosted and stored in many different locations. I do a lot of these presentations in the last couple of years virtual, but in a lot of them, I do them in real life. And when I do them in real life, I ask people to put up their hand and say, do you know where your information is stored? Do you know where your information is backed up? Do you know what information is? Do you know how quickly it would actually take you to get back up and running in the event of not even a natural disaster, but just think about it in the work from home world. If a kid comes over and smashes a computer, how quickly can it get you? Can you be back up and running to the point you were before? If we'd started this presentation and my computer got smashed right now, I would still be able to seamlessly do it, and you guys wouldn't even know the difference. There's also compliance obligations. As the bad guys are attacking more so, we get more and more compliance obligations. We see the insurance companies are starting to recognize that they're out of a lot of money too, because they're paying too much money out. So they're starting to increase their rules, saying if you don't have a cybersecurity plan in place, if you don't have a business continuity plan, if you're using password for the same passwords, many of those different things, if you're doing that and you get attacked, they will not protect you. So how often is a business hit with ransomware? In any of these presentations I like to have some statistics, part because proof points, we love proof points, but then also I find statistics can be really mind-opening and interesting and also scary all at the same time. These are some interesting stats to me. 43% of cyber attacks are aimed at small to medium-sized businesses. That's not that surprising considering small to medium-sized businesses is a massive field of businesses that are an opportunity to attack, especially if you look at the fact that they do struggle with it's not going to happen to me, and they don't necessarily have the bandwidth and the security knowledge to put the effort into that, to keeping their businesses secure. So they are an open door. It's like a house with all the windows open, a house with all the doors open. 85% of all email attachments are harmful. Things are picking up. We're getting busier again. We're hiring people. These are amazing times. I feel bad for that poor HR person who's getting hundreds and hundreds of emails. And if 85% of email attachments are harmful, that is pretty scary. 91% of attacks are launched from a phishing campaign. We used to be able to super notice a phishing campaign. You knew that the Prince Joe from Africa does not want to marry you and you don't have to send them $1 million. We knew that was a scam. We knew not to click a button. Now I'm getting daily emails or daily text messages on my phone that says that my bank card has been frauded and now I have to reset my password. That's a scam. That's a phishing scam. They're trying to get your passwords and your logins. There's a new one coming out in Canada. It's that time of year we're all paying taxes. Yay, tax season. And it used to say that the government of Canada will not ask you to send your information via text message. And now there's a new scam saying government Canada will ask you to send this information. So please click this link and send this information. Please talk to your old people about this, because you're in this presentation because you want to talk about security. But I see these scams hit the older people in our lives every year. And I've seen several friends, my personal friends, whose parents have lost their life savings, or even $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, which is a lot of money when you're 75, 85, 95 years old. So please have that conversation with people. Cybercrime will cost $10.5 trillion by 2025. So we talked about how big this industry is. $10.5 trillion. That's more money than Canada makes. I'm pretty sure that's more money than the US makes. That's a massive industry. And one of the reasons why we have to shift that thought process of being like, these are kids in basements. No, these are massive office buildings where people go to work, they clock in 9 to 5 every day, and this is the job that they have. 24,000 new malicious apps are removed from the App Store daily. I love that statistic just because I didn't even realize that many apps were put in the App Store daily. So it's a really mind-boggling thing to think about. That's how many malicious apps are removed from the App Store. Ransomware is up 140% in Q3 of 2021 alone. Let's pause. Let's take that a second. In Q3 of 2021 alone, 140%. The bad guys are seeing that there's opportunity here, and they're going to continue attacking us as long as Bitcoin and all of those coins are still around. And the business is hit with ransomware every 13 seconds. So it's not a matter of when this is going to happen. Chances are there's emails in your spam filter. There's emails that people have been trained not to click that are already sitting there. So it's a matter of when someone's not paying attention and is going to click something, what are you going to have a plan in place? So I want to talk about the evolution of these bad guys in the first place. Who are these guys? Well, of course, ransomware developers. That completely makes sense. People who just literally spend all their time about making ransomware. What's interesting, though, is these guys, they don't even have to be salespeople anymore. They don't even have to push the ransomware. There's ransomware as a service where the developers who just want to sit and build code, and that's all they want to do, where they sit, they build it, and then they sell it. And then they sell it. And they sell it to people who have email lists. Have you checked if your email lists, if any of your emails are on the dark web? Those email lists get sold, and then people will do massive, send out this ransomware to massive email lists targeting not one person, but hundreds and hundreds of thousands of businesses at once, just to see who's the weakest link and who will click the button. Insider threats. Let's face it, your staff know they're leaving way before you do. So what are they leaving with? What are they taking with them? What access do they have? Are you making sure that they're controlling or taking away the access? Are they maybe the salespeople, and are they taking their entire sales funnel with them? Insider threats is a huge, huge business with over 21 billion lost every year in secrets. Organized crime. the bad guys want a piece of their pie. We're seeing with the legalization of marijuana across Canada, several different states in the US, and now Mexico. Do you realize the bad guys are actually starting to get into the avocado market? Really, really interesting. But the organized crime is always going to want a piece of their pie. Nation state, unfortunately, there's countries around the world who don't like the US or Canada and will try to steal information from us because it's valuable to them. And if we're going to pay to get it back, it's valuable to us. IoT hackers. I can't do this presentation without, especially in the world that we're in, without talking about IoT devices and making sure that you're taking consideration about how people are connecting. In the work from anywhere world, we see staff. You might have staff who are now working from home, but they maybe don't necessarily have a family computer. And so kids are working from their work computer. Well, what are those kids accessing? What are they clicking? What are they downloading? How are the devices in the house connected? How are people VPNing in? What security settings are set at home? Because we're seeing more and more devices get attacked by the device. And then we're seeing more devices being an IoT device. My blender. Why do I need an IoT blender? I have no idea, but I love it and it's amazing and I use it all the time. But that's another risk that I have to think about within my business. So how are they attacking? Mostly still in pretty unsophisticated ways. We talked about those ransomware developers, brute force attacks. So literally taking those email lists and trying as many different ways to see in, just to try to find the house that maybe has the window lock open, the door open, or maybe hasn't changed their locks recently. Password management. Passwords in most of these attacks, 2FA and passwords are huge. If you're sitting and watching this presentation right now and your password is password 1, did you just change it to password 2? That is not a good password. Any of those combinations of changing a password, adding a number at the end, please do not do that. And most definitely at the bare minimum, do not have the same passwords across your social accounts and your business accounts. That's opening up your business up to a really big risk. Phishing attacks, we talked about phishing attacks, and these phishing attacks are getting a lot more intense. We're just talking about the ones via my text messages on my phone. But you as a business owner, maybe you have a president title, a CEO title, or maybe you're an employee. Your business owner has posted on social media that they're going on vacation. They posted on different sites, they've let everybody know, and now they're on vacation and you get a message saying, hey, you know what, can you send me that those business cards, or sorry, that like Uber Eats cards or Amazon cards, or can you just send me straight up a check, a wire transfer? It looks legit. They know you are on vacation. They know your boss is on vacation. As a CEO, they know where you're with. They know your wife's name. They know all of this information. That I've seen so many conversations where it's gotten through and where it's almost gotten through, where it takes one person reading an email 3 or 4 times to realize the person wouldn't speak to me that way. They would never ask me to send a wire transfer, but that's how intense phishing emails are getting. And if that happens to you, make sure to pick up the phone, call the person who sent you the email, because it's a very good chance that this is a phishing attack. So I wanted to give you some tips and tricks, like I said at the beginning, some tips and tricks that you can take away from this presentation today that either should cause one thing, you to change something in your office that will make your business more secure, or make you pick up the phone and either answer the phone when Data Branch calls you, or pick up the phone and call them yourself, because it will increase the security of your business. So first, remember that you're a target online and offline. It doesn't matter who you are. Even me, I am in this doing these presentations all day. You guys, you're here, you're trying to learn about security, you're doing better. It's one step in the right direction, but we all get busy and we all do things. So remembering that you're always a target, even cybersecurity experts get hacked. It's just, we get busy, we click things, we forget the training that we're going through. Have policies and procedures in place. When you're thinking about policies and procedures, you need to think about where your staff are. It's no longer about protecting a computer in an office. It's about protecting a person, no matter where they're working from. Most of their applications can be accessed on their phone. Making sure that you have policies and procedures in place, going back to those IoT devices. Just as recently as last year, we were seeing that smart home devices actually had hidden backdoors in them. So are you double checking what your staff are connecting with and which devices they're purchasing? Where are they getting their routers from? Are those routers secure? Do you even know? Ongoing employee training. We are your greatest risk. We make mistakes, we get busy, we forget to pay attention, or we were watching this training and then actually emailing 3 other people and not actually paying attention to any of this. I know you guys. Ongoing employee training is really important because we are your greatest risk. My example here is this lovely gentleman who runs the alerting system in Hawaii. So he is the boss man. He loves his job. He was alerting system. If anything bad's happening towards Hawaii, he lets everyone know. This is also his LinkedIn profile picture. And there's his password. His password to his computer is on his LinkedIn profile picture. So now take a second as I'm saying this. And if you can see your password on your computer, please take that off. Is your password under your desk on a sticky note? Please change that. Those are important things that are security risks within your business and within your the businesses that you're working in that can result in a threat. Password management. Password management, I wish I could just make everybody use a password manager. And to be honest, I talked about password management for years, but it wasn't until I actually started using a password manager that I realized how much time it saves you. Not only is a password manager important because it'll help you get out of those habits that were top 20 passwords in the last little bit. Think about that. 65% of people reuse the same passwords on multiple sites. Once again, if you're using the same password across multiple sites, that's a risk. Everyone I talk to says that, you know what, I understand that passwords are a risk, but I'm going to do it anyways because I don't have that many passwords I want to remember in my head. And then it takes too much effort. Using a password manager, I guarantee you will save you at least 10 minutes of your day, if not more, every single day. I use a wonderful password manager and I only have to remember 2 passwords. That's it. Everything else is logged in and I press 2 buttons to log into every site. That is amazing for time saver. It's amazing to reset your passwords. So if I cannot say it enough, using a password manager is not only going to make your business more secure, but it'll save you time and effort and just make it easier that you'll sleep at night. So, you know what, there's something I have to say here. There's a word. I just can't say, I stumble on words all the time. Multi-factor authentication. So you know what, Mike, you want to talk about MFA because I'm just going to kill the word.
Absolutely. Thanks, Des. And following up on the passwords, you know, people are creatures of habit. We reuse passwords. That is not good practice. The password management or password manager systems, like Desiree was saying, they will not only help you create and generate unique, strong, complex passwords, they will tell you where you've reused them. They will, you know, that's a major problem. If you have the same password across 6 different applications and that password gets breached, you are in trouble. All of those applications are going to get hacked. They're going to get breached. And it's because somebody inadvertently gave up the password. Not everything is a nation state targeted attack. A lot of these are very good socially engineered emails. And you know, they're designed by teams of people that have social engineering skills to basically trick you into giving up your password. So how do we combat that? Multi-factor authentication. You should be using multi-factor authentication on anything and everything that accepts it and that supports it. This is in your personal life, your bank accounts, your retirement accounts, your Netflix, your everything that you use at home. Same for professional. You want to have multi-factor authentication, especially if it's something that's cloud accessible. Email, that's the biggest thing. And another point that Desiree made that I want to touch on, these are not always things that have to have a huge workflow impact on your productivity. All of the, you know, most multi-factor authentication can be implemented with minimal impact to your productivity or your users. It's a very quick, efficient setup and process when planned appropriately that will really enhance your security posture. We call this low-hanging fruit, especially for email. If you don't have multi-factor authentication, you should have it now. I can't stress that enough. It's table stakes these days.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So that would be something you have. something you know and something you are. So there's different systems that do this. So you might have an app on your phone that clicks a button and it says, did you actually log into this? That's really good. If you have an email, say all of a sudden you'll get an app on your phone that says, did you log into this? And you're like, I didn't log into my email. What happened? And that's when you know that someone's trying to attack you. One of the things that we use is something you have, something you know, and something you are. So this is a YubiKey. It's password protected. I have to log it into my computer and then I have to fingerprint it. I love it. It's great. I don't have to remember anything and it makes sure that my computer is always secure. So next we're going to talk about never leaving your devices unattended. So smart move. Probably if I'm at the airport, I normally travel 70%. I shouldn't leave my computer at the bar when I run to the washroom. That just makes sense, right? Someone probably could steal the entire thing. But even in this work from anywhere world, even when you're thinking about working in an office, the number of times I've seen that mass email go out from that employee that left their computer open, that's just a funny example. That's still not that funny because you can see sometimes those emails don't go very nice. But there's also the risk that people are now clicking things that you don't know what they're clicking. Even in the work from anywhere world, going back to that, if you really need to be careful what you click, then when you're being careful what you click, if you're giving a kid access to a computer or what we see all the time, access to a cell phone, how are the kids even being careful what they click? Mike, do you have anything here?
Yeah, I'd like to jump in on the devices unattended. This is often overlooked, especially for larger organizations that have to adhere to certain compliance or regulatory bodies like HIPAA. You need to have your assets protected behind locked doors, right? I don't think we just had an intern start with us recently, and we had him do a project to reset someone's password without knowing it. He didn't realize, and he's in IT, how easy that is. If somebody gains physical control or physical access to your laptop, your server, your PC, your phone, it is extremely easy. I venture to say anybody could do it. They could reset your password on your computer and then gain access to all of your data. It is very easy to do and often overlooked. So physically securing them behind locked doors, absolutely. Controlling who has access to get to that equipment. And then the big thing is if something does go missing, because you can't lock everything behind a door, right? Laptops, PCs, if something walks away, something's stolen, something's forgotten, what are you going to do to protect it? You should be encrypting those devices. Simple things like BitLocker that can encrypt your fleet so that if it is lost, stolen, or what have you, nobody's going to be able to do that easy reset and gain access to your data. So absolutely. Screen lock policies like Desiree was mentioning so that your computer doesn't stay up and somebody else walks up and uses it. Those are, easy to implement things that have a huge impact. And again, encrypting those devices is absolutely best practice and needed, especially for your mobile fleet.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And like you said, if you got to be careful what you click, you can't leave your devices unattended because those just don't go hand in hand. A lot of the reasons there's a lot of risk, there's a lot of emails, and there's a lot of different training that you're going through about knowing what to watch for. And the reason for that is because there's a lot of scams out there. There's payment app scams that literally click a button and it drains your bank accounts. There's ones where you get an email saying, hey, give me this information. And if you're not paying attention, somebody can easily end up clicking those buttons that they weren't supposed to. Antivirus and malware protection. I'm going to give this one to you, Mike.
Yep, no, appreciate it. So antivirus and malware protection, table stakes, right? Everybody has to have a good antivirus solution on their device. However, that used to be okay. That used to be good. But with the threat landscape changing, the complexity of these zero-day attacks and viruses, it's not good enough. You need to have a layered approach. You need to have a great antivirus. You need to have malware protection. You need to have intrusion detection. You need to have local security policies locking down what people can and cannot do on those devices. Again, the more layers, the better when it comes to cybersecurity. We recommend a layered approach. We have an offering called Foundation Security that has all of these tools built into it to make it very easy to deploy for you, for your users, and to really enhance their level of protection. These are things that, again, they are the table stakes now. These used to be viewed as as high-end things, but now they are very much needed. And then there are additional offerings: information security, event monitoring, SOC services, managed detection. These are all things that that you should be doing, and I'd love to talk to you about at some point, and see what you're doing now and how we can help.
Layers. It's not just about the onion and the Shrek anymore. It's about cybersecurity.
Yes, I was going to jump in. I just heard a story the other day. An analogy I really liked. It was about Swiss cheese. Everyone knows Swiss cheese has lots of holes in it, but if you stack enough slices of Swiss cheese up, you hold it up, there's no holes anymore. And security is like that. You just have to have those different layers to plug the different holes.
I love it, David. I love it. Thank you so much. All right, mobile device policy, because of course this all ties in. It used to be, like I said, you'd have a computer at work and then you didn't have any applications on your phone or pre-cell phones. Imagine those days. Nowadays, though, most people have all of their SaaS applications, access to their email, to their Salesforce, to the accounts that they're using within your business on their cell phones. The number of times I go to a friend's house and you see little kids playing on the cell phone. And I'm like, that's a huge security risk, because of course kids don't know what they're clicking. They're just messing around. Or the whole idea that, does your staff even have a mobile device policy in the first place? Because they're accessing this information, are you enforcing MFA on their phone? Are you enforcing a password on their phone in the first place? If not, and you haven't had those conversations, then there's a huge amount of risk, because let's face it, we put these things down in weird places and we lose them all the time. Security testing and configurations. This is all a lot of information. I'm giving you a lot of tips here, and you know what? You might feel lost. Chances are you do. This is why Data Branch is such a great people to work with. They're going to help you look at your systems and see, okay, where are the security flaws, and where can we increase the security of your business? Backups, backups, backups. This is a big part of where our business came from, and so I couldn't be talking about business continuity. I can't talk about cybersecurity if we don't talk about business continuity and backups, and really the difference between the two, because we have to change our expectations around backing up. Years ago, before my time, before I worked in this industry, it used to be good enough that you could just back things up. It doesn't matter. Who knew where it was? It went into a place, a file, a folder, but more of these attacks that are happening, it's more and more important that you can be back up and running in the event of a disaster, because we are your greatest risk. We make mistakes. Your staff make mistakes. We paid attention. We promised we wouldn't do it. And then we did something we weren't supposed to. We clicked that button. And when I have these conversations, people are like, well, I already have a backup solution. My information, I recognize already that it shouldn't be in just a system where I back it up in my office, because what if someone steals that entire backup? Or what if my office gets fire or flood or something along that lines? So we'll make sure our information's in the cloud. So we're protected right there. But even with your information in the cloud, how is that information in the cloud? And what happens in the event of disaster? How quickly can you be back up and running? The conversation is important, because ransomware isn't going anywhere. It's running rampant. It's going to continue. As long as these $10.5 trillion economy is not going to unfortunately disappear like that, although I would love if we could all just take a piece of that pie. Ransomware is running rampant, and Data Branch and Datto are doing something about it. We're working together to make sure that we can provide you with a business continuity solution, so that way, in the event of this disaster happening, whether it be a kid in an office, a dog, whether it be someone smashing a coffee, fire, a flood, ransomware, or any of those bad things that happen, your business is protected. You can sleep at night, and you know that if and when that happens, you can keep on working. With Data Branch and Datto in auction, it doesn't matter if you have your physical production machines or your virtual infrastructure. We're backing that information up every 5 minutes. We're backing it up and not just putting it in the cloud. We're putting it in several different locations, in 2 different data centers, in 2 different parts of the US. We're making sure that it's virtualized, that you're able to virtualize it, so you're able to be back up and running in the event of a disaster at any point in time. We have things like the screenshot verification. So every one of those backups shows an actual screenshot of your computers and saying, you know what, this is a legit backup, this is working, this is good to go, and it's not hit with ransomware. This is all able to restore from the local appliance and then has those backups on not just one location, but 2 different locations. This is all important because, well, sometimes you see in the news, well, backups got hit. We have the immutable cloud, making so that if the backup can't be rewritten, so the backup is so far backed up that you can't even rewrite it, you can't access it. So the ransomware, if the ransomware can't touch it and can't rewrite it, it can't attack it. So your information is protected in a physical device, virtual, and then 2 different places. If you got hit right now and click that button where there's a red screen of death, you can be able to roll back to the previous version of 5 minutes poor. So you're only losing about 5 minutes of work, virtualize in seconds, and then be able to work through the problem and make sure that none of your systems are actually hit. So when I clicked that email, and your staff at Friday at 3 p.m. when they promised they would not click an email that you told them not to, they knew what to look for, and they click something by accident and they get the red screen of death. You're able to roll back right away to the version 5 minutes before, be able to virtualize in minutes, and then be up and running to the point that you were at before. There's a lot of benefits of this. First, it's going to reduce your downtime. We're going to talk about RPO and RTO in a couple seconds here. But that's that downtime, the cost of the amount of effort it takes you to get back up and running. So if you were to lose power right now and your power was out for a week, are you able to continue running your business or are you out? You have your backups in both local and cloud, so you're protected no matter what. And this is helping your recovery time objective and your recovery point objective. So the reason we back up every 5 minutes is so that if something happens, you only lose 5 minutes of work. Well, what if you're only backing up? How often are you backing up your information right now? Every hour? It's probably, maybe, you don't know, every week. If you're losing a week's worth of work when something happens, that could be pretty detrimental. You're probably backing up your information more than that. A lot of people still only back up once a day. But going back to that recovery point objective, but how quickly are you going to be back up and running in the event of a disaster? Because we've seen in the last couple of years, if a business is down for a week, a month, 6 months, it's detrimental to the business. And sadly, 65% of businesses who get hit with ransomware and don't have a plan in place will go under. So let's see how this really works. If we're talking about continuity for all of your data, we have to talk about SaaS protection. If, whether you use Google or Microsoft, if you lost those solutions right now, would you be able to continue to do your job? Could you keep your business up and running? And why is that conversation important? Well, there's a lot of reasons SaaS data is compromised. Malicious deletions, people just going in, your staff, like I said, they know that they're leaving before you do. I've got friends who have left their companies and been looking for jobs on their work, and they don't want their work to know they're doing it, so they just delete everything. Sales funnels, conversations with clients, all gone. Viruses and hackers, or just end user deletions. You have people who maybe are being nice and helping and cleaning. You might hire that really nice organized person who goes in and deletes a bunch of files and folders because no one's touched them in years. And then next thing you know, all that information's gone and you need it. But what's even funnier is both Google and Microsoft state in those SLAs that terms and conditions that we all click the button and said, yes, I read those terms and conditions. When was the last time you clicked and actually read the terms and conditions? I guarantee you in every presentation I do, everyone here now groans and laughs at me because nobody ever does it, but everyone always agrees to it. In those terms and conditions that you're clicking, yes, I agree, both Google and Microsoft state that they're not responsible for your data loss and that you should be using a third-party supplier to back up your information. So you're already agreeing that you understand this and that you should do this. Microsoft itself, this is their shared responsibility model. So they're responsible for hardware failure, software failure, natural disasters, power outages. They are not responsible for end user or technology providers. So human error, us being your greatest risk, clicking things, deleting things because we don't want you to see them. Program errors, program errors is a huge one. We had this happen to a couple partners where one of these systems, they only lost 0.000001% of clients' information. Everything for the 0.1 client's information, which isn't a big deal, but that still hit several of our partners. And without having this in place, we were actually able to take this information and go to the solution provider and say, these emails and systems actually exist because here's the backing up of it. Because prior to that, they said, we don't have any of that information. It's gone. It's disappeared. You're responsible for backing it up. Malicious insiders, external threats. So with data SaaS protection, it doesn't matter who you are. If you're a two-person mom and dad pop shop or scaling all the way to enterprise, we have a solution that'll fit your needs. It's super easy to set up. It can be done remotely while you're sitting here watching this presentation. Data Branch can help with that out. I talked about the cost of downtime several times during this presentation and realizing how often a business gets hit with ransomware and how much it can affect them just because it takes them so long to get back up and running. 65% of businesses end up going under. The cost of downtime is skyrocketing. There's an average cost of 486% increase in 2018. I'll probably have a new slide that's even more this year. That's not the amount of money the bad guys are asking for. That's the amount of time and money that the business is spending getting their business back up and running. Do you know what your hourly cost of downtime is? So whether that just be the power goes out in your house, in your location, or wherever you are, how much hourly is that costing your business? Chances are you don't know, and that's a great conversation to have at Data Branch. Now, were there any questions that came in?
And let me see if we can review the chat. I'll see if there are any private chats.
At this time, there's no questions in the group chat.
If anybody has any questions, please throw that in. And then with that, I'll turn it back to Amanda, David, and Mike.
Awesome. Well, here, thank you so much, everybody, for coming and attending. It's been so great to see so many friendly faces. One question that, we did have shared with us is, we covered a lot of material today, out of everything we've talked about. What would you say are the top, 3 things you would recommend that we look at implementing today to make sure that we're protecting ourselves against ransomware?
I would 100% the password manager. If like the bare minimum of a password manager is not using the same password more than once. That's a lot of effort. And I can't stress this enough that using a password manager, if you're not sure what type to use, talk to Data Branch, they'll be able to help you out. But using a password manager will force you, they auto pick your passwords. You literally don't have to think about it. It saves you so much time. It saves you so much stress. Mike said it earlier, MFA, finding a solution that fits your MFA needs. And there's bare minimums and then there's more secure, but email, super, super important. Having those conversations, of course, with your old people is just important to me. And then having a backup solution, having a business continuity solution, that makes it so your information, we're already seeing it across the industry that the bad guys started attacking the backups, the business continuity plan. And they're doing that because they started losing money. That's why we have in place a solution that will make it so the bad guys can't ever attack the backups. But could just imagine if you got your front end and your passwords are good, it's a huge thing, the way bad guys get in. You have 2FA or MFA on your systems. That's another huge way. You're doing cybersecurity training, that's great. But then if all of those fail, you have a plan in place that you can get your business back up and running so you don't end up going under. Those 3 things, of course, there's layered approach, there's many, many layers in those, but having those solutions in place, or at the bare minimum, having a conversation with Data Branch so you can know what the cost to your business is and whether you can afford when you get hit to go under, or whether you can afford to pay that ransomware, whether you can afford that 2-day, 3-day, 10-day loss to your business. And maybe you don't want to spend the money on cybersecurity, but chances are you're going to want to, because it'll just help you sleep at night.
Yeah, I couldn't agree. Oops, sorry, Amanda. I couldn't agree more, Desiree. Those are fantastic. A couple additional things that I'd throw in is, you have to know what you have. What data do you have, and how important is that data? Where is that data? And then how are you protecting it? Right? There's another 3 three key things that Datto absolutely can help. We can help you identify that. But a lot of people might think, I've got a backup solution. It's backing up my server. Are you sure that's where all of your data is? Again, you have to know what is important, where it is, and how are you protecting it. So again, great insight, Desiree, and appreciate it. And we can help with that that discovery and that discussion.
Yep, thank you, Mike. And I know we've talked a lot about at the end here that cost of downtime and determining what that is for your organization. And we do have a calculator on our website for people, if you want to answer those questions, look into your cost of downtime. I did add that into the chat.
Yeah, it's a really interesting exercise to go through, and I would highly recommend it. One of those things that you don't really want to do, but you really ought to do. We did this for one of our clients a couple of years ago, and found out that their cost of downtime was measured in the millions of dollars. And it helped them understand the value of what they were going to be protecting, and to what it was worth to keep that have that system in place. The CEO of Datto recently did a presentation, and I'm paraphrasing, Des, so please jump in if I get it wrong. But it was basically saying that a business continuity solution is your last line of defense, but it really needs to be your first dollar spent. And I think that captures it well. And one of the things that I've found over the too many years I've been doing this, it's funny when you're talking about old people, Des. I'm trying not to take it personally. I
thought you were in your early 50s.
Oh, well, thank you. At least we're not calling me legacy. But seriously, I think there's a huge value in knowing as opposed to hoping that you're going to be able to get your data back. And I can't really stress enough the relief that has been for us, our clients, knowing that that we have people's back. And it's an ongoing thing. It's a journey. And I think Mike said it well, in the sense that what was good enough before is no longer good enough. And when people ask the classic business question, what keeps you up at night? What keeps us up is worrying about our clients' security and data. And so we spend our working and waking hours trying to help avoid those things that Des was talking about. So, was there another question, Amanda?
Let's see. Someone else, sent over to us, I think I have a backup in place, how can I be sure it's working?
Well, that's a key. And I guess that touches on what I mentioned is that difference between hoping and knowing. And, truly, I could go on for, too long on stories, of spending nights in data centers, hoping that you were going to get the data back. With our solution powered by Datto and our partnership, we know, every day there's a screenshot that proves of the server or protected device is protected. Not just a green check mark saying, yeah, your backup's fine, but actually proof of actually virtualizing the device, taking a picture of it, and sending us an email. We check that every day. In addition, we do regular manual restores, have a real engineer, one of our experts on the technology, spin up the servers for every server for every client. And I mentioned that there's quite a few of them, but we take it that seriously because you just can't, it's not something you want to hope. You want to know that you can get it back.
Well, thank you, David. Thank you everyone for attending. As I said, I know we've got a lot of friendly faces on here. I see some new faces as well. As a thank you to everyone that's attended, we would like to offer, all attendees of this webinar a complimentary data protection assessment with our technical team. If you'd like to schedule an appointment, you can reach out to me, alasky@databranch.com, give us a call. Submit the form on our website. Just need to go to databranch.com/secretweapon. Everyone who does, request an assessment will be entered in a drawing for a $100 Amazon gift card. And if you have any other questions, things that have come into your mind today that you'd really like to explore for your business, I'd really like to encourage you to reach out. We are here to help, and we're very honored to be a part of the Chemung County Chamber of Commerce and the Olean Chamber of Commerce and serve our local areas. So again, thank you for coming. Thank you, Desiree, for sharing all that great information with us. And at this time, we'll sign off and share over the recording with everyone after the event.
Thanks so much for having me, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful day, and cheers, guys.
Thank you, everyone. And you can visit chemungchamber.org to register for any of our other upcoming webinars or find recordings of the previous webinars. We will post this one on there as well. And if anybody's interested in joining the Chemung Chamber of Commerce, please contact the chamber at info@chemungchamber.org or call 607-734-5137. Many thanks to our presenters and to everyone for joining us today. Have a great day.
Thank you,
Have a
everyone.
great day, everyone.
Stay
Bye-bye.
safe.